If they both committed domestic violence, why don't they have equal parent time, and why was Taylor's parent time supervised to begin with? Make it make sense, Lawyer T. That's the question I received the most in my live and in the comment section of mine and other videos. Let's talk about it because the court actually explained it yesterday if you were listening carefully. And the guardian ad litem explained it in the last hearing as well, the previous, the April 30th hearing. You see, what I think the court's saying is this isn't a double jeopardy situation. There are not still consequences for what she did in 2023. But since 2023, where she had the felony charge that she pled guilty to or no contest to in a plea in advance, and that's still in a probationary state, meaning that the court, one, I think expects her to have better behavior than him because she's on probation for what she did and he's not. That's the bottom line. That's one element of it. Think about it this way. You see two people that get in a bar fight. One of them's on probation, one of them isn't. Which of the two people would have a higher expectation based on the current litigation status they're in with their criminal charge being on probation? Who should stop the fight? Who should say, you know what? It's not worth it. I've got too much to lose. I gotta leave. I gotta disengage. I'm on probation. If they both engage in the fight, then I think the person who's on probation has just a lot more at risk of losing because of their probationary state. So I think the court's bringing it back to say, one, the court did identify, look, there's the 2023 charge and she's still on probation, and that was a felony assault charge. And there are tentacles that extend even 3 years after the fact because she's still in a probationary state. The second aspect of that is, as part of her plea deal, she had to engage in parenting classes. And this is where the guardian ad litem talked a lot about it in the first April 7th hearing and the April 30th hearing. Effectively saying, Taylor had education as well. Part of her plea deal, she had to take these classes to sort of mitigate future instances wherein she may be provoked and reactive, and she's getting education, help, assistance, treatment, therapy, so that she's not as reactive. And so it may seem unfair. But that's because they did not come on parity to the court during the protective order court. They didn't. It isn't as though Dakota similarly was on probation and he shouldn't have engaged in the same behavior that she engaged in. And even if both of them have domestic violence, and I don't think that this is a dynamic where somehow what Taylor did was worse than what Dakota did. I don't think that's where the court's heading. I think the court's saying, hey, when you guys got here, one of you should have had a lot more exposure to materials, education, therapy that would have prevented this from happening than the other. And one of you's also on probation that had another incentive to not be here. So I do think that's ultimately why the court has a disproportionate outcome, even though the court found them both having committed domestic violence.